way. And the Affordable Care Act is an important part of what is contributing to those slower growth levels. And what we try and do in this budget is build on that by doing additional cost savings in the healthcare space, which is one of the fundamental drivers of the deficit.
Okay, thank you very much. And my time is out. Senator Sessions.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Ms. Burwell, I think you've acknowledged plainly that the President's budget calls for spending on the discretionary side $56 billion more than the Ryan Murray bill that was passed about 10 weeks ago. Is that correct?
In a paid-for initiative.
The question is, do you spend more than was agreed to in the spending limits of the Ryan Murray bill?
We propose an initiative that would be paid for to do that.
And you would spend $56 billion more?
Only if paid for.
But do you not agree that the Ryan Murray law didn't say paid for, it simply limited the amount of spending, and you're spending over the amount that that bill allows to be spent?
Senator, when the caps were put in place, and I had the opportunity to work with the caps in the first round when I was in OMB, much of why the caps were put in place was about deficit reduction.
No, you're theorizing about the purpose of it. The law limited spending, did it not? And you are spending over what the law requires.
Senator, only if the Congress would choose to pass a law that would alter that. Our budget comes in at the levels of the...
So you're proposing that we alter Ryan Murray so you can spend $56 billion more next year alone?
What we are proposing...
Yes or no? Is that correct?
We propose a paid-for initiative.
Can't you answer that question simply? Yes or no? Do you propose to spend $56 billion more than Ryan Murray allows, and you're proposing that we change Ryan Murray to allow you to do so? Yes or no?
Senator, we do propose a change in the law that would be fully paid for, that would invest in the things that we believe are necessary for the economic health of the nation.
So you're spending $56 billion more, and you're going to raise taxes to pay for it, and you think that's acceptable?
Senator, we believe...
And I just want you to know, ask you to tell the American people, do you want to spend more than the President agreed to when he signed Ryan Murray 10 weeks ago?
Senator, we signed Ryan Murray...
You look real innocent the way you look at me here, like you don't know what I'm talking about. Can't you just simply answer the question? Yes or no? Do you intend to spend more than Ryan Murray, and will that not require an amending of the law to allow you to do so?
It will require an amending of the law.
And it will spend $56 billion more?
Not against the...
I'm not talking about paid for. I'm not talking about budgets. I'm just saying, are you spending more than the law allows currently?
Senator, it, I believe, makes a very big difference.
Why can't you say yes or no to that?
Senator, because I think that some questions aren't simply
Well, you've had
yes
your
or no
explanation.
questions.
Now I'm just asking yes or
Senator,
no. Are you paying more or less?
I think there are some questions that are not simply yes or no questions.
This
therefore,
is a yes or no question. You're refusing to answer it. I will answer it. The answer is that you're asking us to raise the spending limits by changing the Ryan Murray law so you can spend even more than you agreed to spend 10 weeks ago. And this is the way a nation goes broke. When we can't adhere to our own spending agreements, then we get into financial trouble, and we end up with huge interest payments that we can't afford, that are going to crowd out spending that we need to make in a dramatic way in the years to come, as you well know. And I think that's important. Now, you say that you've got a pro-growth tax reform, and that that's going to increase revenues to the government, $300 billion for the transportation fund. That means you're going to raise taxes $300 billion, does it not?
Those are one-time transitional revenues.
And they will come from increased taxes so you can afford this spending.
They are one-time. And that is why we have chosen to invest those in infrastructure.
Spending. Now, with regard to the interest on the debt, it's astounding to me. Your own budget projects, OMB's numbers projects, that we would be spending We spent last year $223 billion on interest, which is a huge sum for which we get nothing. And your budget projects that we would go to $812 billion in 1 year annual interest payment in 2024. Does that not threaten the financial future of America?
Senator, I agree with you. Interest payments are not the most impactful way that we can use our dollars, our tax dollars as a nation. And that's why we need to be on a path to a declining debt to GDP ratio and a declining deficit to GDP ratio.
Well,
which
not
we are.
an impactful way to
our
spend
budget-
money, but it gets no real benefit, right, to pay interest on the debt.
Senator, our budget decreases the amount of interest we will pay on the debt by $236 billion.
The baseline budget that CBO gave us projected the interest would be $880 billion in the 10th year. You project 212. The reason you project less, I assume, is because you've got $1 trillion in tax increases. But either way, doesn't this indicate that we've got to get our financial house in order because our future is threatened financially, as Dr. Elmendorf told us from that table a few weeks ago?
Senator, I think as we talk about our fiscal matters, we need to connect them to why we care about our fiscal matters, and that has to do with the health, the economic health of our nation in terms of economic growth and jobs. And we think in the President's budget, we have laid out a path that is the right path in terms of where the nation needs to encourage growth and at the same time meet our fiscal responsibility. What has happened in the numbers that you're appropriately reflecting, those numbers have grown over many, many years. There is a deep hole. There is a deep hole.
Well, when the
and we've
President
made
leaves
good
office,
progress.
he will have doubled the amount of debt of the United States of America, and he will be primarily responsible for at least half of it. And the President said in his statement a few days ago, this budget that you prepared for us, it, quote, adheres to the spending principles members of both houses of Congress have already agreed to. That's Ryan Murray. It does not. Would you agree?
I'm sorry, our budget does not adhere to Ryan Murray?
Right.
We do, because the document that has been put up shows fully
All right.
how we will meet those levels.
It does not agree
Sen-
with Ryan Murray.
Senator,
Forgive me.
Senator Baldwin.
Thank you, Chairman Murray and Ranking Member, for holding this. Welcome, Director Burwell, back to the committee. As I've begun to study the President's fiscal year 2015 budget, I think that there's